All right. So last week we talked about things that go without saying culturally about sex and marriage and singleness and celibacy. And we used a contrast. We talked about our own culture and what it purports to influence people about sex. And then we looked at a really weird example from the Acts of Thomas, which is an apocryphal book. I would say a Gnostic book. That in the story, Thomas goes to India and he convinces at the wedding feast the bride and groom to not go through with marriage, remain celibate uh, in their marriage in order to grow spiritually closer to Christ. And when you read it, it just reads as if that's the most natural thing in the world. And we read it as Westerners and go, what? Right? And that was the point. That was the point. It was to go, how would this make sense? Like, how does this make sense at all? And part of the point of bringing it up is to show that in different cultures, there are different things that go without saying. So, and this is the kind of historical, cultural things that um, that we would want to understand about our own culture, but then also about the ancient culture in the Bible of the people and the authors that wrote the books of the Bible. Because when they describe something, or maybe they don't describe something, they just expect you to understand what's happening in the text. Uh, Another previous example that we used was the switcheroo with Leah and Rachel. You almost go, how could that happen? There's no way that could have happened. But when you understand culturally, like how the woman would be fully veiled, you wouldn't be able to really see underneath the veil, and then it's pitch black, and there's alcohol involved, and you just like layer all of these things on top of one another for a marriage feast, and it's like, oh, okay, I can see how Laban could be tricksy and trick Jacob, but all of those things are assumed, like unless you do a little bit of cultural study or historical study. So then we looked at 1 Corinthians 7, and we did a very quick, like a very quick read through on 1 Corinthians 7 to see what the Bible talks about. And that's just one text. There's plenty of other texts that we could go to concerning sex in our culture and what the Bible teaches. I just wanted to show that Paul, his desire was that people would remain single for the kingdom of God. That was a strong desire of his. He mentions it multiple times in 1 Corinthians 7. And in our culture, we go, that's kind of weird, or we downplay it. And that's a disservice to single people in our congregation. Or if let's say there's someone who goes to seminary and they want to be a pastor, uh, but they're not married. You go, that's weird. I don't like, there's something weird about you, or I already don't trust you a little bit. Or how are you going to lead married people if you haven't been married yourself? That question, right? How are you going to teach people how to raise their children if you don't have children yourself? And it's like, the pulpit committee goes, maybe not that one. But like, you would be rejecting Paul. Like, would you reject Paul? Right? Like, that's a different way of thinking about it, right? And so a lot of times, because of our cultural influence, we'll read through a text and we might downplay something because of the cultural influence that we have. And so part of the point of reading through 1 Corinthians 7 was to go in and emphasize the things that we normally just, the things that go without saying for our own culture, emphasize things that kind of go against that, which would be a life of celibacy for the kingdom of God. And he's like, that's totally acceptable. In fact, I wish everybody would do it. He says that. It's like, now, the Acts of Thomas goes way too far in that direction, where it's like you should be celibate within marriage. It's like that doesn't, like, no. If you're gonna be married, sex within marriage is like it's part of the deal. That's included with marriage. But asceticism and this dualism is a part of their culture, part of the things that go without saying in that culture, which would mean you deny bodily things to focus exclusively on spiritual things. If you're going to be more spiritual, you're going to have a closer relationship with Jesus, you have to deny these things. It's just part of it. And so you would deny yourself sex, even within marriage, to grow closer to Jesus. That just goes with that. It's just an understanding culturally. And it's like, oh, that's just weird, right? But that's how the Acts of Thomas would make sense within that culture. So we talked about our own culture, right? Our kind of Western American culture. But it got me thinking, what's our church culture? How many of you grew up in church? Right? Most of the people in here. I did not. So I was very confused about sex, and I didn't know what the Bible taught. I didn't grow up with that. My parents took me to church every once in a while, especially when my dad was in the Air Force and moved around a lot, and we lived in South Carolina, and everybody on our street went to the same church. So it was just like, all right, we're all going. Let's go. And I don't know. I was little. They had a gym. It was fun. I don't really remember. I remember making a popsicle stick cross and gluing tiles on it. I remember doing that. That's pretty much it. We moved to right outside Boston. There weren't any Baptist churches really. A lot of Catholic churches, a lot of, and my dad had terrible experience with Catholic school and Catholic. No, we're not doing any of that. We moved up here, and I did go to First Baptist in Eagle River for a little bit. It was part of the youth group because they had a really large youth group at the time. But it was definitely more hanging out with, like, I wasn't really paying attention to the teaching. It was influencing me for sure, but I wasn't like focused and like trying to figure it out. And then I met Tam, and if I was gonna hang out with her on Sundays, I had to go to church. So I went to church with her. That was Bible Baptist in Chugiak, where we went to church because we lived in Eagle River. And then they moved away when she graduated, and I was like, I'm not going to be the kind of guy that only went to church because his girlfriend went to church. I'm just going to keep going because, yeah. And then I just got more good teaching, right? And yeah, eventually got saved. And oh, this is stuff. But for those of you who grew up in church culture, what are the things that go without saying about sex in this culture? Okay, hold on. Let me write these down. All right. Don't talk about it. What'd you say, Jim? Marriage first. Right. So there's first comes here we go. First comes love, then comes marriage, then the baby in the baby carriage. There we go. Right. There's an order to things. Come on. Marriage first. No. Go ahead.
I was going purity culture.
Okay.
Basically, sex at all.
Okay. Ah, okay. So, ah, all all physical touch. Yeah. Okay. Um, yeah. Okay. So modesty, right? Right. But like extreme, right? Okay. Or all right. Hold on. There's too many things. There's too many things. Hold on. Hold on. All right. So. Okay. Yep. Or we only have modesty rules for women, right? Yeah, because men are always modest. Always. Always. Yes, ma'am.
That visually.
Uh, uh, oh, do I have a scripture for that? It's one of my favorites because I hate this teaching so much. I hate it. Um, right, because men are just so helpless. Uh, Men just cannot control themselves at all. You know, just at the whims of their passions, no self control. Like, watch, yeah, yeah, yeah. I see you, baby. See, it's okay. We're married. We're married. It's fine. It's fine. Right. All right. Yeah. This is. Flip the switch. Now, all the sex. Right. So that right there, right? It's like no, 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 no. It's bad. It's bad. It's bad. It's evil. It's terrible. No, 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 no. All right. Now it's all good. Floodgates are open. Right. Like, oh, oh. Don't show affection, right? Nope. Right. Don't demonstrate that in front of, yeah. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. What else? What else?
Very negative, aren't we?
It is. But no, this is, no, I'm asking for like, I didn't grow up in this culture necessarily. I've seen the kind of the results of it, and I've talked with people that grew up in it, but this is a little bit foreign to me. Yes. But not the teacher said. Yeah. Right. Hey, is it under the blood? Is it under the blood? It's under someone's blood. Whoa, that was dark. Yeah. It's the unpardonable sin, right? Right. Mm, yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, no. Um, so you guys already noticed a pattern here, right? It's all negative. It's all, let's say, it's all rebuke, all of it, right? Or warning. Let's say it's all warning. But where's the hope? Where's the positive? Does the Bible have anything positive to say about sex? It does. But, so, okay, right? But none of that immediately comes to mind, right? So then why is that? Like, how many, like, I'm wondering, I guess I wonder, how many of you are like really uncomfortable right now? I'm not. But it's like maybe this is an uncomfortable topic. However, the Bible has so much to say about it, positive and negative, right? I don't want to say that, oh, well, this is just all bad because it's all negative and we just need to throw it away and only have this positive, right? No, 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 no. Like there's reasons why there are negative things to say about it, right? Um, like sexuality can be used in horrific ways, and there are examples of that throughout Scripture. The one that really comes to mind is um, Tamar and Amnon. You guys remember that? So it's just after David and Bathsheba incident. So was it 2 Samuel 11, I think. Let's see. I think it's 11. No, this is the David and Bathsheba story, so it's 13. Here we go. 2 Samuel 13. And it came to pass after this that Absalom was the son of David, had a fair sister whose name was Tamar. And Amnon, the son of David, loved her. So these are step siblings. And Amnon was so vexed that he fell sick for his sister Tamar, for she was a virgin. Like, why is that detail there? Because of what comes next. But, like, how is he vexed? Well, because he loved her. Okay, well, what does that mean? Well, she was a virgin. It's like, okay, I can see how the author's leading me down path, right? And Amnon thought it hard for him to do anything to her. That's an interesting preposition. Do anything to her instead of with her. Oh. Anyways, I'm gonna throw that out there. But Amnon had a friend, Jonadab. Amnon had a friend whose name was Jonadab, the son of Shemaiah, David's brother. This is all within the family, right? And he said unto him, oh, sorry, and Jonadab was a very subtle man. You know who else was subtle? The serpent in the garden. Are you guys seeing the... Are you picking up what the author's laying down? Right. So, and he said unto him, why art thou, being the king's son, lean from day to day? Wilt thou not tell me? And Amnon said unto him, I love Tamar, my brother Absalom's sister. And Jonadab said unto him, lay thee down on thy bed, and make thyself sick. When thy father cometh to see thee, say unto him, I pray thee, let my sister Tamar come. Give me meat, and dress the meat in my sight, so that I may see it, and eat it at her hand. So Amnon lay down and made himself sick. And when the king was come to see him, Amnon said to the king, I pray thee, please, please. I know, I'm sorry. Like, put yourself there, right? He's trying to convince the king that he's sick, so that way he can get alone with Tamar. I pray thee, let Tamar my sister come, and make me a couple of cakes in my sight, that I may eat at her hand. Then David sent home to Tamar, saying, go now to thy brother Amnon's house. So, these are different houses, right? She's got to go from one place to the other. Go to Amnon's house and dress him meat. And Tamar went to her brother Amnon's house. He was laid down. She took flour and kneaded it, and made cakes in his sight, and did bake the cakes. She took a pan and poured them out before him, but he refused to eat. And Amnon said, have out all men from me. So get rid of all the servants, all the men need to get out of the room. Now they're alone. And they went out, every man from him. And Amnon said unto Tamar, bring the meat into the chamber, that I may eat of thine hand. It's like, I want you to feed me. I want you close. And Tamar took the cakes which she had made and brought them into the chamber to Amnon her brother. And when she had brought them unto him to eat, he took hold of her and said unto her, come lie with me, my sister. Like, whoa. And this is a proposition for sex. This isn't just like, let's just go lay down, right? This is a euphemism describing sex. Verse 12. And she answered him, nay, my brother, do not force me. Force. For no such thing ought to be done in Israel. Do not this folly. What is she referencing here? There's a lot of rules concerning sex in the law. You know where they are? Leviticus 18. Yep. And it describes it as nakedness, not to uncover nakedness. It's another euphemism. But there's laws against this. And she's like, this is outrageous. No, this is not a thing that is to be done in Israel. Do not, right? Do not thou this folly. Don't do this foolishness. And whither shall I cause my shame to go? Like, if you do this, there's going to be so much shame on me. What am I going to do with that? And as for thee, thou shalt be one of the fools in Israel. She's like, remember all of these things that should keep you from doing this, right? Someone who's just in lust mode in their mind, they're not thinking clearly. And so it's like, you need to be reminded of all of these things. She's trying to remind him, don't be an idiot. Don't be a fool. She's also like, this is, it's awful, right? Now, therefore, I pray thee, speak unto the king, for he will not withhold me from thee. So, right, they're step siblings. I interpret this as like she's just trying to get out of there. Just any reason to get out of there. Howbeit, he would not hearken unto her voice, but being stronger than she, forced her and lay with her. Then Amnon, this is what I wanted to get to. Then Amnon hated her exceedingly, so that the hatred wherewith he hated her was greater than the love wherewith he had loved her. Like, that is such an indictment on the possibility of the human mind and what a person is capable of. Like, it starts in the beginning. He's like, oh, I love Tamar so much. I'm sick with love. And it's so strong, it drives him to rape her. And then after he's done with her, he hates her. Like, what? Like, what is going on? Like, this is how twisted sexuality can be. And the Bible does not shy away from describing it. Like, how awful is this? It's like the most horrendous thing. Like, Absalom plans the murder of Amnon after this. He bides his time, but then he murders him. Like, and it's just like, and then this is also like, this comes after the David and Bathsheba thing. And when God says that there's going to be turmoil in your house from now on, this is the kind of turmoil God was talking about. Like, it's awful. All of the super negative side to sex, right? It can be. Where would you go to talk about positive side? Song of Solomon, right? Right? Neck is like a tower. Ooh. Teeth are like a flock of sheep. Right. Right. I mean, even the first couple of verses, right? The Song of Songs, which is Solomon's. So this is in Hebrew, if you the way that this is structured, it's like songs. And what it means is like this is the best of all the songs. So it's like when it says Song of Songs, it's kind of like Lord of Lords. There's a lot of lords, but this is the Lord of all the lords. This is the song of all the songs, which is like bar none, right? How many songs does Israel have? A lot of songs. Like 150 psalms worth. This is the best one. You ever thought about it that way? Like there's a lot of song and music and right there, verse 2, it starts off, let him kiss me with the kisses of his mouth, for thy love is better than wine. Whoa. Powerful, right? So let him kiss me. Who's speaking here? Is it a male or female? Okay. Remember the cultural context. Male or female? Female, right? So this is a female speaking about the strong desire that she has for her man to kiss her. And thy love is better than wine. It's more intoxicating than wine. It's that good. Because of the savor of thy good ointments, thy name. Now notice, what does she go to first? Thy name? That like overtly sexual? No. But we are embodied, like we're full whole beings. We're not just physical. We're also spiritual and like Pastor likes to say, soulical or mind. We have body, mind, and spirit. All of those things are integrated. Our culture wants to separate those things and just emphasize the physical, right? It's just sex. It's fine. Not a big deal, right? Friends with benefits, that kind of thing. That's just emphasizing physical. The first thing, like, she does want to get kissed. She wants the kisses. And she, like, I wish I could, like, there's a construction here that's like, it's like, this is what she wants. It's almost like she is commanding it to happen, almost. Let him kiss me with the kisses of his mouth. Like, please, I want this. But it's thy name that she first refers to. Why? What does a name represent? Reputation, character. That's right. The whole person. The whole person is what she desires. See that? Thy name is as ointment poured forth. Therefore, do the virgins love thee. Draw me, and we will run after thee. King hath brought me into his chambers. I mean, she's thinking about it. In his chambers. What chambers? The bed chambers. Right? We'll be glad and rejoice in thee. Like, we will remember thy love more than wine. The upright love thee. Then she starts describing herself. And it goes on. This is like, what, I think it's 8 chapters? Love song. There's so much study you could do on the Song of Solomon. But it's all positive. It's a positive view of what God desires for marriage and sex within marriage. There's a lot there. I mean, there's a point where the husband comes to the wife's door seeking love, let's say, and is rejected. And then there's an incident like that. It describes that. I mean, it's all in poetic form, right? But it's there. Like that never happens. Right? I mean, there's a lot there. What about Proverbs? I believe it's 5. Yeah. Yep. So first it's a warning, and then it's a hope. I'm using the word hope, but it's like something you can look forward to, right? Or something you should, like if you have all of this either church cultural baggage or just regular cultural baggage of the influence of those things on you, that if they're biblical, then you should think on those things. But if you have bad teaching, how do you get rid of bad teaching? Do you just say, don't think about the bad teaching? You replace it with good teaching. That's what the Father does in Proverbs 5. He goes, okay, I'm going to give you good teaching. There's a negative side and there's a positive side. Here's the negative first, so that way you can know what to watch out for. Warning, don't go there. That's bad. But here's what you have to look forward to as well. Think on these things. These are good things. My son, attend unto my wisdom, and bow thine ear to my understanding, that thou mayest regard discretion, and that thy lips may know or may keep knowledge. For the lips of a strange woman drop as a honeycomb, and her mouth is smoother than oil. It sounds so good. It sounds really good. The lips of a strange woman, right? The hot woman on the flat screen that you're holding in your hand, when she tells you these things and tells millions of other men, because it's just a screen, right? It sounds good. It sounds like, oh, that's what I want. But her end, bitter as wormwood, sharp as a two-edged sword. Her feet go down to death. Her steps take hold on hell. Like, you're going in the wrong direction. Don't go that way. It's all lies. It will destroy you. It will. If you seek after lust and you follow your lust, it will destroy you. Her feet go down to death. Her steps take hold on hell. Like, just know that that's the end. You might not experience it immediately. You might have the consequences immediately, but it will catch up to you and it will destroy you. It would be better for you to humble yourself now before you get humiliated by the Lord later. Like, stop. I don't know where that came from. Just there you go. Lest thou shouldest ponder the path of life. Her ways are movable, right? That thou cannot know them. Hear me there. Hear me now, therefore, O ye children, and depart not from the words of my mouth. Remember, like, listen to me. Remove thy way far from her, and come not nigh to the door of her house. Lest thou give thine honor unto others, and thy years unto the cruel. Lest strangers be filled with thy wealth, and thy labors be in the house of a stranger. And thou mourn at the last, when thy flesh and thy body are consumed, and say, how have I hated instruction, and my heart despised reproof, and have not obeyed the voice of my teachers, nor inclined my ear to them that instructed me. I was almost in all evil in the midst of the congregation assembly. That's the death that's coming, right? It's just going to ruin your life. Don't go that way. Okay, what about this other way? Drink waters out of thine own cistern, and running waters out of thine own well. Let thy fountains be dispersed abroad, and rivers of water in the streets. Let them be only thine own, and not a stranger's with thee. Here we go, verse 18. Let thy fountain be blessed, and rejoice in the wife of thy youth. Let her be as a loving hind in a pleasant roe. So this is a deer, right? Let her breasts satisfy thee at all times, and be thou ravished always with her love. So it's like, first, let your fountain be blessed. This is a metaphor for, all right, have children, right? May it be blessed, but it's your fountain, right? Don't let the waters be dispersed for strangers. No, it's your fountain. Let that be blessed. Rejoice in the wife of thy youth. Let her be loving and pleasant. Let her breast satisfy thee at all times, and be thou ravished always with her love. It's like, why would you be ravished with a strange woman? Embrace the bosom of a strange. Why would you do that? Like, you have your wife. And it's like, what's this word for satisfy? Oh, it is. Oh, point. To be saturated, to drink one's fill, right? Since it's a water metaphor. Oh, there's more that could be said. But there are positive and negative things. So then my last kind of question, because we'll have to, it is time to go upstairs. We got 2 minutes. So my last question is, if your experience, right, has been only this, or mostly this, let's say, and it's not great, What are you going to teach your children? Right. Well, saying I'm not going to teach them that isn't, I am going to teach them this. But what is that? What are you going to positively teach your children? That way they avoid the pitfalls that church culture has propped up and maybe has caused harm in your own life. What are the things that we're going to teach them? We're the adults in the room, right? Ask what, yeah. Like, no, we don't talk about that. We don't talk about Bruno. Right? Right. Like, we don't talk about Bruno, but like, what happens when you don't talk about Bruno? Well, like it's terrible, right? If you've seen that movie. Yep. Age appropriate. Yep. Right.
Right. So it's like, so I think.
Yeah.
For that.
Yes.
At a young age. Got something. Topic X. Like, well, actually, no, it's like this, but Jason did
Right.
better for you. I have no question.
Like, well, someone else said this, but that's not what you like. What's going on here? How do these things fit together? Right? Yeah,
And
definitely.
then that way, oh,
Yep. Yeah.
all those things in there.
Yep.
They're just like,
Yeah.
no,
Like,
no.
right.
As you-
Yeah.
So
There are certain landmines that you probably could have avoided. Yeah, definitely. So yes, wholeheartedly yes. I guess I hope I didn't mean to imply that we should like, all right, 5-year-olds, we need to get them, read these scriptures to them. It's like, no, that would not be appropriate. However, like there are good things in scripture that we should be encouraging our children age appropriately. I would agree about these things. And if you're reading through the scriptures, like if you're not just plucking, like just reading sporadically through the scriptures, if you're like systematically reading through the scriptures, it will bring things up and your children will go, "What's that?" and then you go, ask me in another couple of, depending on what it is, like, well, you could try and make it age appropriate, or just be like, maybe we'll talk about it some other time. Like you're not quite there yet, Oh yeah, it's time to go. Okay, let's do verse alert one more time, and then. But thank you for all of your feedback. I really appreciate it.